Hey everyone, with the Harvest Parade going on right now, you have a chance to get a free T23E3. But is it actually a good tank? Well, let's go ahead and look at the stats. So I'm going to compare it to the T26E3 Eagle 7, the Panther, M41 Walker Bulldog, and T20. You might say, hey, why are you comparing a light tank to it? Well, they have a lot of similarities actually. So if you just look at the DPM, the T23E3 has fantastic DPM, higher than anything in this chart. Penetration is just about average, only the Panther having better penetration, and the alpha is the same as the other ones besides the Eagle 7 and the T20. And the rate of fire is exactly the same as the M41 Walker Bulldog, and pretty much everything except for the shell velocity is the same as the M41 Walker Bulldog. So if you like having that 160 alpha damage fast shooting gun, then you'll pretty much like this tank. As far as the weapon handling goes, the aim time is pretty good. It's actually better than M41 Walker Bulldog, the same as the T20. The dispersion is decent. It's better than the T20 and the Eagle 7, but worse than the Bulldog and the Panther. You have the DPM of the Bulldog, but slightly worse handling, but it about evens out. As far as the turret traverse goes, it's okay. It's only slightly better than the T26 Eagle 7, but worse than the Panther, Bulldog, and T20. As far as depression goes, it's pretty much the same as all the American medium and light tanks. 10 degrees, fantastic. Better than the Panther one's 6. And as far as the mobility, as fantastic mobility, it's only worse than the actual light tank, and about the same as the Panther. Engine power is decent amount of engine power because it's decently light, so the power to weight ratio is almost 19. A little bit better than the Eagle 7, but worse than the Panther, Bulldog, and T20. As far as camera while still are moving, it's just normal for the American light and medium tanks at that tier. Of course, it's going to be better than the Panther, and the cam after shot, pretty much just normal, especially for a medium tank. As far as view range, just average as well. That's kind of a common theme for this tank, just average, just in a lot of aspects. In terms of hit points, average 1250, same as the Panther, better than the Eagle 7, Bulldog, and same as the T20 as well. Now, as far as turret armor, it isn't looking great, to be honest. It's definitely worse than the Eagle 7, Panther, T20. And if we take a look at the armor inspector, you'll see that it has fat cheeks that you could just shoot into, and a big weak point on top too, actually. But this is the main one, and even if you're using your gun depression, the weak point is still there and the cheeks are bad. And as far as the hull, it's not looking great. The side armor isn't great as well, and you'd almost get penned by HE in the back, so it's not looking too good. It's very lightly armored. Now, in terms of win rate, it's a little bit worse than the Panther and Eagle 7, but it's better than the tech tree counterparts of the Bulldog and T20, which you would expect it being a premium tank. You don't have to upgrade any modules or anything like that. The damage, even with all the DPM, it's only around 995, which is the same as the Eagle 7. Just worse DPM, but higher alpha damage. As far as the other stats go, they're pretty much just average. It's pretty much just a common theme with this tank. So if you're just looking for, I think with good gun depression, good DPM, they could just work a ridgeline against, you'll do pretty good. Oh, and I forgot to mention the penetration values for these tanks. So it's 160 on the standard rounds, is the same as all the other American ones, and just worse than the Panther. And if you use our premium on all our tanks, you'll see that it's not great. It's only 208. It's definitely worse than definitely better than the Eagle 7 at just 202, but it's worse than everything else. And the alpha damage goes down to 135. And as far as HE, penetration is only 38, which really isn't great. It's definitely better than the Panthers though, and the alpha damage is just a standard 200. After I've gotten this tank, I've played 30 matches, and my win ratio is 56.67, which sounds pretty good, but in terms of average for similar tanks, if we look at my T23E3 Eagle 7, I've played 166 battles, and my average win ratio is 66.41. There's a big difference there. And I'd say the main difference is, especially when you're going up against higher tiers, the turret armor just won't cut it, especially when you're going against tier 8s. You'll just be able to go through the mantlet pretty much. It's not that thick. And the cheeks and the weak point is pretty much just a free shot for any tier 8 tank, especially if they use gold. Now, I'd say that in terms of win ratio, perhaps it should be a little better. I'd say once I play some more battles and it evens out, I'd say it probably comes to around a 63% win ratio. It really just depends on how often I go against lower tier and equal tier matchups, pretty much. So that's pretty much it for the stats for this tank. So let's go ahead and get into some gameplay. Alrighty, so for this first match, we are in a good matchup against tier 6s. We're going against two other E3s and an AMX 12T. And we ourselves got another E3 and a Poodle, so it should be about an even fight. Now I want to use my good mobility to get into a good position and use my gun depression. Now because there's two other E3s on the other team, this will about even out, so you should be able to just get shots onto each other. Now I am using boosting my hit points on this tank, so I have 1325. I should have a little bit more of an advantage. Now my other E3 decides to go all in, pretty much, so I'm just trying to unload as fast as I can onto these things, just non-stop shooting. And there's a nice one in the back that's supporting them as well. It's able to get a shot into me, unfortunately. Looks like my E3 is about to go down, and there they go. It looks like both of these E3s that we went against are decently low. And went into the first minute or so into this match, we're already up to 1,300 damage. There goes one of the E3s. It would hit the weak point on that E3, really seeing how weak that turret is, even with standard rounds. He's not able to hit my weak point, fortunately. Now, I'm not wanting to fully attack here because I know that Navsworn is still in the back. Now, I try to get a peek shot onto this Navsworn, but I instantly get punished for being greedy. Now I go back again because I don't think they'll expect it and get another shot. Try to get a third. In hindsight, I probably should have focused on the E3 so I could have kept my Poodle alive. But oh well, we're just able to snipe that weak point, showing the pretty good accuracy of this tank. Going for a blind shot on the Nashorn, not able to do so. Making good use of those HE rounds now. Now the Nashorn is one shot for me. He's probably not going to want to peek. I just want to lock him down. Shoot his tracks. Good shot onto the tracks there. And I don't know why, but the Nashorn decides to just come out and take the chance. I'm not sure exactly why I did that. And we're already up to 2 kills and 2,800 damage pretty much the first couple minutes of this match. Now I'm trying to use my gun depression, and I see the Digger Max, I'm sorry. And I try to use my HE shells, and oh, this is some bad shooting. This is not the tank's fault. This is my fault. I should be able to hit the back of this Digger Max consistently with HE, and there's finally a good HE shot. Unfortunately, because of my poor marksmanship, I'm not able to finish off that Digger Max. Now it's just the SU-100Y left. And with the Annihilator 3-tapping them, just one shot, focus in, take the shot, pretty much it. Now this is a good matchup. That's 3,500 damage in just a couple minutes. And it's only a first class medal. I played 30 matches in this tank. I was unable to get an ace tanker. I did pretty good in a decent amount of matches. This tank, this type of tank generally fits my playstyle pretty well, so I'm able to get ace tankers decently often in tanks like this, but I was just not able to do so. But anyways, 3,500 damage, 760 damage blocked. This is a good matchup, so that's pretty much the only time we'll be able to block any types of shots with our turret. make a decent amount of profit, 1,000 credits. We didn't have to fire any gold ammunition. 1266 base experience is not enough for an ace tanker in this tank. Now what about in a worse matchup going against tier 8s? Let's take a look at that. Alrighty, so we're up against tier 8s this time. We're going against another E3. Like I said, there's a ton of them in the matchmaker right now because they're so easy to get right now. And another, there's a T23E3. As for the medium tanks, that's pretty much it. So I'm just wanting to support this T49. I'm hoping he could land a shot. I could just all in on the damaged tank that he hits. He's my good DPM, pretty much. Now, in these types of matchups, because of your poor armor, you kind of just have to be more of a support tank. Can't really be on the front lines too much. And if you are, kind of have to be quick. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that this tank has an excellent reverse speed. I think it's like 30 or something, so you are able to work ridge lines pretty well, get back forward and over. Now I'm coming on this Samuel SM. I heard 2 shots, so I'm not sure if they're reloading yet. I spotted KV3, who's very blind. He did not see me. Now that Samuel SM was aimed at me, so I'm not sure if they are reloading. I'm just going to take my chances, get my shots in. I'm just going to take some shots at this KV3. Use my reload booster just to get some shots in. And unfortunately that Samuel gets behind a building, but I have VK to shoot at. 2.8 second reload for 160 alpha damage is fantastic. And we're already up to 1,200 damage and we're just keep going. Unfortunately, I'm unable to get to the weak point on that VK, but I see this T23E3 come up, and I really don't think that they're going to be able to hit me, but I think my weak point in my big turret was just big enough for them to hit it. And like I said, you're not going to block any shots pretty much against any tier 8 tanks. And I'm just locking down this E3, getting some assistance, keeping the tracks down. Now he takes a shot at me, I'll live with the 160 damage he gives me. Now I'm just going to go for this VK again. He's just sitting there out in the open, and I'll just take the shots all day. Now, trying to use gold round. Unfortunately, that's a bad shot by me. And we actually deflect round by the VK, which is very surprising, but we take a shot from the T28 in the back. Now I'm going to use the tank's mobility to get behind this T28 to get some shots in. And I'm hoping to use some HE against the back of this, but it's not quite good enough to be able to use the HE for the back of this tank. And use my good mobility just to keep moving around this T28, and that's 3,400 damage in a couple minute battle against tier 8s. Alright, so that's 3,400 damage with 800 assisted. That's just another first class medal. Like I said, I wasn't able to get any ace tankers because so many people are playing this tank right now. Make 86,000 credits. We did fire that 1 gold shot. Only get a little less, but it's a premium tank, so can't afford to shoot more premium shots, premium ammunition. So that's 1,200 base experience with 3,400 damage. Now I do want to mention that when you do have those excellent matches where you're able to just use your DPM and people pretty much just aren't shooting at you, there's just a match where you're working a ridgeline and just trading back and forth pretty evenly with tier 8 tank. We're making bad trades pretty much. So you kind of just have to use your mobility to make up for the lack of armor, almost like a light tank, which is why I did use the Bulldog as a comparison, because well, this tank does have a little more armor than the light tank counterpart. It's not much more, especially against tier 8s. But in terms of a tier 7 premium tank that you get for free, can't go wrong pretty much. It's not a hard challenge to get this tank. So if you want just a premium tank that's pretty fun to play, just use fantastic DPM and just go all in on tanks sometimes pretty much. And this is a pretty good tank. And at the end of the day, it is a premium tank, so you'll just make credits while having fun. So yeah, that's pretty much it.